Hey, Cal.
Hey, Silas, how you doing?
Thanks so much for coming down. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Well, thank you for the invite.
I'd like to basically just talk to people about what they do and things like that. And we've actually worked together on 2 productions so far. Thanks for that.
No, thank you.
And you do acting, directing.
First time director, yeah.
First time director.
Yeah.
So actor, director, writer, producer, and many other things, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, my first passions are those, is that list. So yeah, acting I've been doing since 2015, I guess. I officially returned to the industry in 2015 after a 7-year break. Writing I started doing just before the pandemic, 2019, and then more so during the pandemic as a form of creative outlet. Producing, that was also, actually I took a course in producing via Rain Dance, film school in London, and completed that, but I didn't actually properly produce something until 2022, which was the film Inner Devils, yes, the exorcism film, directed by Martin Smith, fellow filmmaker.
I should say you are the founder of Restless Chimps, or Restless Chimp Productions.
Yes, that's my film production company, Restless Chimp Films Limited. Yes, I mean, it was mainly, well, I needed, for filming you need a legal structure, you know, so I need to come up with a name. Came up with Restless Chimp Films, Restless Chimp, because I just felt I was trying to come up with something that kind of is an extension of me. I'm quite restless, you know. I am always doing something, and I was looking for the logo, something not an inanimate object, but something that's you can see in real life. So I came up with this chimp because not that I'm a chimp, but I just had this image of this chimp in front of a laptop typing away like mad, and not having any sleep. So I came up with this logo.
Yes,
with the eyeball that's really completely strained, bloodshot. But that's the idea behind Restless Chimp, and it's now been 2 years now.
Now, I'm quite loving the idea that you highlighted a lesser-known facet of the acting industry, which is restlessly typing away emails. Yes. Hi, dear casting director. Hi, dear agent. Hi, dear whoever. This is who I am. Take a look at my showreel.
Yeah.
It would be nice to work with you one day. Cheers.
Pretty much. I mean, as you know, most of the time, acting, yeah, we are actors. We love being on stage in front of a camera. But to get to that stage, you know, there's a lot of pushing buttons.
There's somebody said if you actually talk about the work it takes to get work, it's like a whole, and it does. There's entire industries built around getting actors jobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually fascinated by your work and a lot of stuff for a number of reasons, because, which I haven't mentioned, but like you're doing all this and then you're also caring for your mum.
Yes.
So yeah, that was something that stood out to me, because I mean, just doing one is difficult enough, but doing 2 at the same time, I can only imagine it's not.
Well, it's well, how can I put it? I mean, to give some context, I was based in London before the pandemic. I was moved down there in 2015. And then, 2020, that's, I decided to move back just after restrictions were relaxed. Because my mum, again, to give more context, my mum's been paraplegic and housebound since 2013. So for the most part, she's been fine. She's got carers coming in, looking after her. But the pandemic didn't fare too well by herself, even though she had carers coming in because of the restrictions. So I made a decision to come back in 2020 and keep an eye on her. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, she's been fine, but she's now 89, and she's, it happens to everyone. So her health is in decline, and Yes, it is. It is what it is. I've made my peace with it a long time ago. So yes, I do look after her mainly, while doing other things. The carers are amazing. My mum loves the carers. They're just fantastic. They know.
I mean, yeah, it takes up, I guess, in a lot of the pressure.
Yeah. I mean. My mum is completely reliant on them, for her personal care. So they deal with all that. And if I need to be away for the day, they can feed her as well. Because my mum can't feed her nowadays. She's has limited mobility in her arms. In addition to being paraplegic, she's not been able to walk since 2013. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, it is what it is.
I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I was just like, I find myself, maybe not in awe, but like I always admire people that, they're trying to make a dream happen, right? But then obviously life, whatever occurs, and they're not giving up. You're trying to deal with whatever's life throwing at you. You're also still pursuing a dream. And that's a very noble thing.
That's pretty.
And I think it kind of puts a face to a lot of the working actors and people in the industry, of not just actors, but anyone that's involved in the creative industries, of having to deal with so many things at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, every creative person, any freelancer has their own path in life. Some have it easy, it's plain sailing. They have a good support network around them, no frustrations. And then, of course, others have kids or have people to care for. So I guess you just have to take life as it comes and redefine your plan. I mean, years ago, I used to make 5-year plans. And then realised life just kind of throws a curveball and you have to redefine your plans. And that's what I do nowadays anyway. I just make a 12-month plan because you don't know what's going to happen,
I mean, Go ahead. But
I wouldn't say so much as a plan, more like, okay, I need to get these things done this year. So let's tick these off.
I mean, I'm even like, I don't even pick plans anymore. I pick directions. I'm like, what's the direction I want to strive towards?
Yeah.
Whatever happens, and if life throws a massive curveball, then we'll try to deal with that one if it comes.
Yeah.
But I haven't given up on like plans, but I've kind of stepped back of like, don't expect that shit's gonna work out the way you're expecting it to.
No.
Not even in the long run, definitely not.
Yeah.
But even in the short run, because like I remember, man, this is kind of mad for me, but 10 years ago, I was 19, so I already knew I wanted to be like an actor. But like, if you go 15 years ago, I was a hardcore Jehovah's Witness who was preparing to live his life according to those tenets and go to heaven. Well, not heaven, but like the new world, and live happily ever after. Like, if you would ask me about acting 15 years ago, it was not on the radar. Only for like 4 years later to figure out that that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, or I want to be involved in the creative sector.
Yeah.
It was just... And then me ended up in the UK, like that was out of nowhere. So it's just, there's something to be said about life happens and you try your best to tag along. You also make things happen, let's not be pessimistic.
Yeah.
But it's a give and take, isn't it?
It's a give and take, you kind of, is it called going with the flow? I guess, I don't know. I mean, I suppose it is going with the flow, going with what works, finding what you're good at. And it sounds like you've had quite a journey,
Yeah, mentally, definitely. Yeah. Sometimes not even just physically, but just mentally. Like looking back, and so have you. That's what I was genuinely curious about. You said a 7-year hiatus.
Yes.
Can I ask about that? Of like the reasons for it, or again, as much as you want.
Let's just say life happened, and I wasn't completely ready for the acting industry. I actually went to drama school in 2003.
Okay.
The RCS, as it's called now.
Yeah, I even forgot to mention that the man's an RCS alumni.
So yeah, I graduated, and then moved to London. But back then, I was a highly nervous actor. I don't think I was ready for it. I remember my first audition, because I was picked up by quite a prominent agency back then, and still is. my first audition through that agency was for an American comedy pilot directed by David Schwimmer.
Oh, okay.
Of Friends, of course. And so no pressure. So it was my first audition out of a drama school, and I was highly nervous. I travelled down to London at the time because I was still up here. Met the casting director. I was highly nervous in the waiting room, and she could tell. She was fantastic. She helped me, but understandably I didn't get the job. But I just felt there's some things that life prepares you for that drama school can't. And after after I made a decision to move down. I moved down to London in 2005 initially, and it just made me realise I don't think I'm ready for this. I don't know the reasoning behind that, but I just decided, okay, I need to maybe just live life a little, travel a bit.
Interesting.
You know, so I just completely left the industry, and actually I vowed never to return. Bizarrely, I had no plans to return, but as we know, life has a way of pushing people in different directions.
That's fascinating, because I've had someone else who I've interviewed someone who, so they started out, they were doing well, but they didn't feel like they were getting where they wanted to get, so they left it, and then it took them years, and they tried everything else, but there was always that nagging voice in the back of the head of like, nah, this ain't it. This isn't the thing that you're supposed to be doing. Yeah. And then they had like a whole health scare. There was a cancer situation which they survived, and they were like, oh, why am I wasting my time? Like, there's tomorrow's not guaranteed. Why am I, like, there was no more excuses for them, so they just went back in. Yeah. And I was just curious of like, I'm fascinated by people that decide to take a break or leave it altogether, because I was someone who's like, no, if you're gonna get it, you gotta stick with it for the rest of the time, and there's no giving up. Yeah. And I still believe in that, most of it, but I'm not as I don't pull my nose at people that go, you know, I just needed time away. Years ago I would have been like, but why are you giving up on your dream? No, you're not living your potential. But now I'm like, yeah, it should happen. Yeah. So I'm kind of curious about that, of like, were you feeling overwhelmed?
I'm trying to think back my exact thought process and coming to that conclusion, that decision I made. I think it was just a case of wanting to live life more, because being acting with freelancing, you're constant rejections. Yes. You know, constant rejections, and it does tend to play on a person, and you have to have this is all cliche, all actors know this, have a thick skin and just let it go, whereas back then I wasn't able to do that. I guess it's a case of experience, but I remember back then just holding on to auditions, and back then auditions used to be in person. There were no self-tapes back then. True. So you'd buy a ticket to go to London to meet someone for maybe 2 minutes, and then get back on the train again the same day, and you're thinking, and then you do the same thing again the next week. I mean,
that's stand-up comedy. That's stand-up comedians again on trains going to another town to bomb for 5 minutes, to like cry themselves back to the train all the way back and be like, but I'm doing this again tomorrow. Yes.
So that's it's all about mindset, you know. So to answer your question, I just decided, no, I don't think I'm ready for this. So I left it. I left the industry, went into, because I had my first degree, because I did a master's in acting. I have a first degree in computer science, so I became a web developer for a number of years, freelance. But there came a time eventually, after a number of years, what was missing was creativity. Although designing websites is creative, I just found it immensely frustrating sitting in front of a computer trying to find one missing semicolon in 100 lines of code.
It is creative. I can relate to that. I did maths and IT, and the original plan was to become, good Joe was with the software engineer. And I was going to do that back home in Romania, and I remember this was my major sort of identity crisis where everything was pointing in one direction. My dad was excited that, you know, his son is doing well in school, he's going to become a software engineer, yada, yada, yada. And I was along with that ride of like, oh my God, my dad's excited, validation, you know, I'm loving this.
Yeah.
And then at some point, I actually stopped and thought about, okay, so it's going to be, let's say you work 40 hours a week, you're spending most of that in front of the computer. Do I want to be involved in this world for the rest of my life? And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And that was where it all came crashing down. I was like, what do I want to do for the rest of my life? And that's when acting became a thing. After experimenting and hush, and it's a secret, and took years to let the parents know that that's what's happening. But yeah, it was.
So what was your first experience of acting then? Was it, how, you know, did you do anything when you were a kid, when you were at school?
No, I ended up, I loved movies. I was watching a lot of movies.
Right.
So I was going back on what do I enjoy, what do I like doing? You know, what do I want to spend time on? And then it became, well, I don't know how it became a thing, but like, I decided I want to give an acting course a go. Because it dawned on me that I liked making jokes, I liked talking to people. That for a while I was like, I'm going to be a psychologist. And then there was a girl, so I also went because of the girl to the acting course. Didn't get the girl, but I ended up performing on stage one night in this empty theater for my coach.
Right.
And I'm doing this monologue, and I think the last time I did it, I just got it all off. You know, it was frustrating. I wasn't getting it, and at some point you could just go, oh fuck it, and just blah. And I'm standing there like this, like shaking, of like, this is it. Like and I just felt like the inner voice going, yeah, this is your calling.
Yeah.
Like there's a part of me, every time I get on stage, a part of me is going, this is where you're supposed to be.
Okay.
Or every time I express myself, or I sing, or I do comedy, it's like, yeah, you're in the right place. It's not even the stage, it's just me expressing myself.
Yeah, that's having the affirmation through your own actions is,
I think that's been the biggest thing of learning, even with auditions, of like, as long as I have my self-expression, I don't care about the result. I mean, would it be nice if I got paid a shit ton of money? Sure, but that's outside of my control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can only do what you can do, what you're in control of. That's amazing, because I also grew up watching films, because when I was a kid, maybe coming up to 10, I used to watch a lot of escapist films. I think my go-to film was Raiders of the Lost Ark. I used to watch that. I watched that so much obsessively that I could watch the entire film in my mind before going to bed. I know it's a bit obsessive, but obsessed much? No.
I'll just
just sit in bed. Okay, watch
Doctor Strange just watching.
No, I kid you not. This actually
What's happening? I'm a minute 52, 27 seconds. Hold on.
Yes. Hold on. It's a break. Okay. It's a good part. No, I just loved that film. I used to watch it every day, and I used to reenact when I was in the house by myself. I used to reenact. I suppose every kid has done it.
Yeah, reenaction.
With the city cushion. So I used to reenact that scene where he's going after the Ark on the horse. I think about it, it's just silly now, but I was by myself. So in my mind, I had the horse, maybe was the armchair, and then I jump onto the sofa, which was the truck. That I kind of crawl under the sofa because he was dragged underneath the truck and all that nonsense. So it was loads of fun. But I realised, that was my form of escapism because of what was happening in my life at the time. So I just, in my mind, realised I want to be an actor when I grow up. But it wasn't, as I think you mentioned earlier, it wasn't an acceptable career for my parents.
Okay.
Because my parents are from India, and acting, I didn't tell them for years. So that's why I went. Computer science for me was my backup plan. So I'll do computer science first, and then I'll do acting.
But I think for some, I know that there's people out there that can actually make that work. Like they can have a backup plan. I'm not one of those people. I've noticed, like, for me, it's not that it's all or nothing, but it's just like, to me, that's just time away. Like, especially now, I'm like, I just want to work. If I get to a point where I can make a comfortable living on it, then I'd be like, okay, I have other hobbies now. Cool. But I mean, I still do a bit of travel every now and again and stuff like that. But overall, I'm very much like, yeah, I'm all in. Like, someone, I think it was Ray Fiennes, who said, like, what's the advice he would give to actors or comedians, whatever? And he's like, if you don't need to do it, like if you don't need acting or whatever, like breathing, don't get into it. Which get into it as a hobby. There's nothing wrong with a hobby, but I get it. If you want to get into this industry, you really have to love the process and the work, because that's all you got.
Absolutely.
And then if you get lucky, you'll get some extras.
Yeah.
Or if you do the right, if you hang around and do, there's other things you can do to increase your chances.
Yeah.
But so it's been very much eye-opening of like the process, just the art itself. Yeah, having that in the foreground.
Absolutely, I completely agree with Fiennes, and you need to want it so much that that's all you want to do with the rest of your life, and that's the ideal situation. But of course, it doesn't always work out for everyone, because actors have day jobs and they do jobs that they don't really want to do to pay the bills, things like that. That's
and you have responsibilities and all that,
and exactly another responsibility. So to be in that position to do what you really want to do is, I think, is a privileged, luxurious position to be in. Although I think it can be achieved. I think if you really focus, it can be achieved by shuffling things about. Somehow, I would truly, definitely know that's what you want.
I think I agree with that. And also, the big thing has been for me is that sometimes, growing up, I would build up I would accept expectations passed on to me, or how life should be, how I should live my life, and things like that. And so, on the one hand, the other hand, you'd think that you need certain things because you would see the status and the splendor and all that. And you have to sort of shake myself and be like, okay, what's the thing I want to do because the doing is the reward, not because, if I do the thing and achieve something, then I'll get something else from that. Of like, instead of having this indirect way of validating myself, what's the thing that directly validates me? Because that's the most stable way of going about my life. Yeah. And that's become like performing and writing. But that was very sort of, as you said, it can feel very scary sometimes, of thinking you need multiple things and having this mess in your head.
Yes, it can be a bit of a mess in the head when you do multiple things.
Also known as a mind fuck.
Yes, that's probably a better way of putting it.
Don't worry, my mom's not watching this, so I can swear.
Okay, I'll let loose then. It's great to be able to focus on one thing or a few things, but I think it's important to try these other things, and then you'll eventually find, like, just to give my example, I mean, I enjoy acting, but I've realized through the pandemic I want to write and produce some of my own films. It's partially, I think initially came about because I realised I've not been considered for the type of roles that I would like to do. So it's trying to gain more control over what I do. Same thing with directing. I directed my first short film. I'm at peace with the film, but I know I personally, as a director, I've learnt a lot from it, and I realised what I could have done differently.
Are we talking Coincidental Engagement?
A Coincidental Engagement, that was a film, the supernatural short film.
Which is making the rounds of festivals right now.
Yes, it was currently, most recently in the London Liftoff Festival, which is part of a global network of festivals. So it was being shown by them online on Vimeo until January 5th. So at the moment, it's reaching the end. It's not due to be shown at any more festivals. I'm still waiting on another 4-5 submissions. I think the last notification will be around about February, but my goal with that is to put it on video on demand, something like, I don't know, Prime. But yeah, that was a great experience. Wrote it, produced it, directed it, and gave myself an acting role in it, which I think in hindsight I will give myself less hats to wear, because when you do wear so many hats, something tends to suffer.
Yeah, I mean, that can work out if everything else in your life is taken care of. But when you have, I think most of us don't have that financial stability to be like, I will pay someone to cook me food and do my shopping and take care of the kids and do this and that. Most of us are like, I can do a couple of things and then I also have my responsibilities.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, if you want it to be sort of the quality that you're aiming for, then you have to reduce either the responsibilities or the distractions.
Yeah.
Although it was a good film.
Thank you.
It was a fun film to watch, definitely.
I think that was my main concern, especially when I was editing it with my fellow friend and fellow filmmaker and friend Martin Smith, because he's the tech guy behind the editing, and I was sitting. Well, we had sessions where I would sit with him and go through it and say, okay, I would like it. Can you cut this back or try that? My main concern was, would I watch this? Is this entertaining? Does it keep my attention? And after the screening, which you attended at the GFT in September last year, I did. You might remember I asked people to give feedback via an online feedback form, and I got some really good feedback and about specific things. So I only made one, because of the time frame, because at that point it had already been submitted to a number of festivals. So I made one change, mainly because that was mentioned by a number of people, you know. And in hindsight, I realised I wasn't really happy with that one scene, that one shot. It was a reshoot which I put in after filming, and just because I felt that scene needed more emotion to explain something, but I always wasn't at peace with it. So that's the only thing I changed. So
yeah, that's a fascinating thing with movies, because I'm learning this right now in stand-up comedy, and I think it applies to movies as well. But with stand-up comedy, when I sit down and write, I'm like, I try to get my ideas as clearly out as possible. My funniest ideas about how I feel in a funny way. But then when you go and perform it, then you realize that night to night that I think some audiences will need more information from you, because everyone's different places in life. So you say something like, yeah, they know exactly what you're talking about, they've been through it 100 times, fair enough. Other people will need a bit more massaging, they'll need a bit more scene setting, simply because they live in a different direction, and that's perfectly normal. That happens with me. But I can do that with an audience every night, because I'm talking to them, they're right in front of me, so I can see if they go, huh? So I can be like, okay, a bit more information here. But with the film, you write it, you show it to a couple of people, and then you hope for the best that other people will get it too. Like, that's a very unique dilemma.
Yeah, no, you made a very good point about people being at different stages in their lives and life experience, because the film, I mean, I guess a lot of creative writing is metaphorical, and I mean, without sharing any spoilers, I mean, you might remember, of course, there were the two main characters. There was a third character. Now, the third character was actually meant to be a metaphor for the relationship.
Yeah, that keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Oh!
Spoiler. No.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm sorry.
No. It's not a major spoiler, but no, it was a metaphor for the relationship, the other relationship in that film.
Sorry, no, because as I was watching the film, I was like, oh, I see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, yeah, I'm getting it.
So, just for the audience, I mean, the log line for the film is so it's a supernatural shorts set in an alternate reality, and the log line is Jack and Maddie. Sorry, I'll start again. After years of dealing with the dead, Jack and Maddie discover their relationship is 1 foot in the grave. So I think someone really gave a really good description of the film in the feedback. It was described as The Walking Dead meets Ghost. So
no spoiler, but now the final scene makes sense of like, there's always hope.
yeah. So
no spoilers.
No spoilers, but it's left it open for something else.
Oh my god, I
was thinking a follow-up, like a trilogy of short films,
that's a really gothic way of doing it. Of making the final metaphor being, it's like very creepy, but at the same time, from a different perspective, you're like, oh, that's nice. There's always.
Yeah. I really want to see more, but I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't watched it. But
I have to talk to you after this because I've had an idea that's also supernatural,
right?
Based on this specific, like this whole relationship drama stuff.
Okay.
We'll talk after,
sure.
But I need to tell you.
Okay. Look forward to it. Okay, brilliant. But yeah, no.
Just a different it's a vampire. Okay, I'm going to say that much because it's from Transylvania. So it's a vampire thing.
Okay.
But using the vampire as a metaphor for a relationship.
Okay. Okay. I like it. Already.
But like a toxic one. Anyway, no more.
We'll talk. Yeah. We'll talk.
Ignore everything we said.
We shall talk in the deleted scenes.
This is going into the bloopers.
Yes, but no, that was a brilliant. I think screening your films, which I'll do for future projects as well, getting an audience to view it before I submit it to festivals.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to get it out there. I submitted to festivals and we couldn't get everyone together until September. So I think going forward, because I do have another film in the pipeline, I will show it to a private audience first, get feedback, and then we have time to edit if we need to.
I mean, sometimes the feedback can be simply like the mechanics or the sound, or can you hear, can you not hear, is this loud enough?
Yeah.
Something that someone like, God, was the director for Tenet?
Director for Tenet?
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan?
Yes, something that Christopher Nolan should look into sometime. Love his movies. His sound design sometimes is mental.
I think the first film I watched of his was Batman Begins, actually.
That was alright.
Yeah.
But like Tenet, sometimes you didn't like main plot line. I'm watching it in a cinema. What did the guy say?
Yeah, that's frustrating. I've only watched it once in the cinema, and I can't. I vaguely remember it. It kept my attention, but yes,
like Christopher, I love your work, but come on.
Yes, yeah.
That is my personal opinion. Does not represent Cal's. Please do consider him for future projects.
Please don't cancel my contract. Yes. No, I'm genuinely saying I have watched the film and I quite thoroughly enjoyed it. I love the premise. But I think that's the whole point of actors not making themselves clear on screen or even on stage. I think it's just a general thing I've found in some productions,
Yeah.
It can happen. I've been guilty of it myself. I think someone once said to me, Cal, enunciate.
I mean, my feedback from one of my gigs was he needs to work on mic technique. And I didn't normally get that, but then I just looked back at it and I realized that I'm quite animated, so I would turn away from the microphone as I'm talking.
Yes.
So now I'm like,
okay.
No,
yeah.
Now it's this. Now I have to turn like this from now on, So it's like that's little things, little technical things that comedians have to think about.
It just reminds you of when you're talking to someone, you're walking down the street, it's a busy, noisy street, they're talking to you, but they'll turn their head mid-sentence, they'll go, so so you have no idea what they just said. It's like, can you just talk to me, not the traffic?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was a great experience. Like I said, I got another one in the pipeline. It's called The Odd Jobs.
Odd Jobs, okay.
Odd Jobs. Nothing to do with my day job business, which is called youroddjobsman.com. It's about, just to give a very quick summary, it's about the gigs that actors do in between acting gigs. The odd jobs.
Okay, yeah.
But that's all I'm going to say. I've got a script ready to go. But I realized late last year that the job that the lead actor does in this short film, someone has made a TV series of that already. It's on BBC iPlayer, so I need to...
Are we talking Dirty Water? Is that the series? No.
I'm not going to say what it is at this point. I'll tell you afterwards.
Okay.
But,
Note, chat after the podcast. The podcast after the podcast.
after the podcast.
The postcast. Wow.
The funny thing is, this series that I'm talking about, I'll just tell you. Is it really spoilers? No, it's not really spoilers. So, my short film was actually called, because I've changed the name of it, it's now called The Odd Jobs. It was initially called The Cleaner.
Okay.
There's a BBC series called The Cleaner.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. And it's about this guy played by, sorry, I apologize, I can't remember the comedian's name, tall guy.
Greg Davis?
Yes. He plays the cleaner.
Yeah, I've seen a clip
these
of
crime
him.
scenes, cleans after the crime. So my lead character does that job, but in a different premise. So I started writing my script in 2019, and I'm not suggesting there's any copyright plagiarism issues, because that was filmed afterwards. But my premise is completely different. It's nothing to do with specifically going into crime scenes and cleaning. It just so happens my protagonist happens to be doing the same job, you know. So I just want to watch the film and kind of make sure there's no similarities.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's because especially if it's something that's famous like that, people will be like, that's just like the thing.
Yeah.
You can be like, well, it took me longer to make it happen because I don't have the funds yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's comedians have this specific thing where you'll think of a joke and it's your baby and you love it, and then a famous person does a special and you're like, or whatever, and they're like, they've got the same joke or close enough. It's not even the same joke, but the idea is similar. And you go, fuck, I can't do that one anymore.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be thinking, why is he...
How do you keep track of things like that? Because have you come up with a...
You don't.
Yeah.
You hope people tell you.
So you hope people tell you?
Yeah, it's like most of the time fellow comedians, your friends will be like, oh, by the way, that's very similar to another joke I saw.
Right.
And they give like, you know, so then you have to make a decision. But yeah, there's almost 8 billion of us. We're bound to have some similar thoughts. I mean, we got most of the same problems, so why wouldn't we have the same solutions?
Yeah, I think ideas come up with whatever idea you kind of latch on to. I think it's out there in some sort of global consciousness.
So I'm not fully on board with the global consciousness, but I actually had this thought not that long ago of like, is there truly such a thing as an invention, or is everything a discovery? And let me, you get what I mean?
Yeah, go for it.
You get what I mean? Because like, you say like we didn't invent maths, maybe we discovered maths, because like numbers do, like the concept of numbers doesn't, but numbers do exist in reality, right? The same way, any logical combination, you know, even if it doesn't exist physically, it already exists as a possibility.
Yeah.
So you're not making up a logical combination that doesn't already exist as a possibility.
No, you're just finding it.
You're the first person to get to it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, it's technically a discovery.
Yeah, it's a discovery. It's not an invention, I guess.
But like, what is but there's a difference between me discovering this couch versus me coming up with a couch.
Or a unique couch which you have to patent because it's so different to everything else that's on the market.
It's an upside down couch where it's uncomfortable to sleep on.
Okay, that's different. Yeah. Very niche market. Yeah, niche market.
That's one of those like artistic things you'll see in a museum where it's like, it's purposely made to be the most uncomfortable chair ever or something like that.
Yeah, that's the kind of art where I mean, salute to people who do that kind of thing, but my normal first reaction is like, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, now I get it. So eventually I get it.
That kind of brings me like, what is the purpose of art? Is art a tool? How do you treat art?
Art for me is an outlet, an expression, a form of escapism, because I have So I'm just getting a napkin out. I don't have art in my pocket or anything like that. Here's what I made earlier. No,
I've prepared the piece.
yes,
Origami piece.
but not Blue Peter. No, what was I going to say? Art, for me, over the years, it's been an outlet, an escapism, a way of understanding not only myself, but my place in this reality. I mean, even now, I'd love to paint. I've not painted in years. I started a portrait, self-portrait, maybe a year and a half ago. Still sitting there in my room, half finished. I keep looking at it, and he keeps looking at me. And finish me.
I mean, if if you want to be really artistic, you can be like, wow, it's called the unfinished portrait, because a person is never finished.
Yeah, I thought about that. There's the unfinished portrait or the imperfect portrait, because I can't be making.
You get all the way to the end, and there's just one bit missing.
Yeah.
If I were me, I would leave the eyes empty.
Okay.
Paint the whole face, and the eyes are just a piece of white paper.
Yeah. Or you could just leave it as a canvas and just let people think, oh, this is the art.
I mean, there's invisible
Just
fucking art.
This blank canvas.
There's invisible art. Some guy. That was. Have you seen the Take the Money and Run piece?
No.
Where a guy got commissioned to make a piece of art called Take the Money and Run. So he took the money and never did anything.
Oh, okay. Okay, I guess that's a form of expression. Yeah. It just makes you think of, I might be digressing a bit, it makes me think of the Big Bang Theory, not the TV sitcom, but the theory.
Actually, the Big Bang Theory.
Because I never understood the Big Bang Theory, like something just happens out of nothing. It's like, I don't know whether you did this as a teenager, but I certainly did. I used to, late at night, sitting in the dark, in between watching Raiders of the Lost Ark in my mind, just sit there, staring in the dark and thinking, what is this? What is this reality?
Yeah.
And you try and think of what was there before this reality, and your mind can't really comprehend it.
Yeah, well, I do think we're made out of the fundamental elements, and some people believe create. I'm more of an evolution type of guy, but I think we are made up based on the same fundamental principles that the universe is made out of. Right? Mm-hmm. So I think you can either say that we just can't comprehend, or you can say, no, those are the fundamental tenets of reality, therefore it is what it is. I'm the second group. I think I don't think there was ever nothing. Like, we can't fathom it.
No, I mean, because I'm no scientist, but Big Bang Theory to me suggests that there was nothing. And then then everything happened. But where was the spark? How did that? It's just mind.
Or it's a cycle. It was a beautiful idea. There's zero scientific base for this. But I thought, what if universes evolve? Mm-hmm. What if a universe evolves and it gets so that implodes, and then out of that one, a new one is born, and that evolves, and maybe what we're experiencing right now is the best version of reality so far. And it kind of makes you go, I mean, it's a very hippie, beautiful, it feels good. It's like, oh, we're all just evolving. The universe, as shit as it may be sometimes, it's also learning, and not only learning, but evolving. Yeah. Maybe that's just it. But again, zero evidence, none. It just feels good.
It's just one way of looking at it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've also got simulation theory, scientists think that this is all just one big computer simulation, which is possible. We could just be Sims in someone's
who's running the simulation then, buddy?
Exactly. And how did they come to be? And then are they a simulation?
I mean, that one is like, okay, but how much time does this person have where they figured out to simulate bees and ants and amoebas? Do you know what I mean? Like, are we all? Is everything? Are the cats plugged into the simulation? Or
the cats?
Yeah. Is there a cat? Is there a version of a cat in a different universe that's plugged into the simulation and it's dreaming of being a cat? Mm-hmm. Or did somebody pay a shit ton of money to be put into the simulation to forget that they're an entity outside to be a cat?
Ooh, that's deep. That's going into Vanilla Sky.
That sounds like so. That's like. It's like, what I'm saying is, are these entities in the Netherrealm furries? So they're just like cosplaying being an actual cat in this universe.
Yeah, I get where you go with that. Yeah,
there's hope for the furries out
How
there.
do you choose? It's like, yeah, I guess I understand what you mean. It's like if you went to that film Total Recall.
Yeah.
They mess your mind so you think you're an agent, but you're suggesting we could become a cat or a, like you say, an amoeba. Why would you choose that? And what are the advantages of doing this? And for how long would you be stuck in that role?
Yeah, because technically, I believe, what is it? Some type of jellyfish can live forever, unless murdered.
Okay.
So that's somebody stuck in that one, boys.
Yeah, for a very long. Okay, who knows?
Maybe that's their version of prison. You're going into this shitty universe, you're gonna be a jellyfish.
Could be. Or maybe. The thing with computer games, computer simulations, like games and video games, when a character dies, they start again from the beginning. Maybe that's what reincarnation is. I don't know. Who knows? It's all mind-boggling.
Long story short, whatever happens at the end of this, I want to speak to the manager.
Oh yeah,
I've got some feedback.
Yes,
I've got some copious notes.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Really, Romania? That's the country you picked?
Yeah.
Sorry, I do love Romania. Communism, really? Okay, that's it.
I know. Who knows what's at the end? It might be nothing.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Just a bag of nuts.
Bag of nuts. Could be a bag of nuts. Yeah. It's like wait out and then bag of nuts.
And you'd be, oh my god, that's just Ice Stage now. We're just being chased by the big squirrel. Just da 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 da.
Speaking of computer games, there was a news article recently about this kid who broke Tetris. He didn't break it; he beat it.
No, I saw the article, but I didn't read it.
So I think it's the original version of Tetris. Apparently, he played it past the point of any more code because it crashed. So his score was the top score, like 99,999. But the game kept going after that. Eventually, he reached a point where there were no blocks falling from the top of the screen, and then it just froze. And the kid went ballistic. So apparently, he's the first kid to beat Tetris.
I mean, I love. You know what? The guy really is committed to Tetris. I give you that, kid. But at some point, when even a video game goes, go touch some grass. Come on, go do something else.
Yeah.
Like that's when even a piece of code goes like, come on, Mom, can you talk to this one? Like I can't be doing this by myself.
Yeah, that's a lot of hours playing the game. So.
Oh, good. I've played a bunch of games as well. Now I don't play as much now, just because like our job is playing.
Yes.
It's creating. It's creativity. So I don't.
Well, that's a blessing when you get to do it. As creative, get to take a break from, I guess, your life and yourself, and be someone else in a different life. So it's a great privilege to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And to work with some fantastic actors as well, and filmmakers, or just creatives in general.
I mean, that brings me to a very. So the simple segue of so what was it like to work on the set of Slow Horses?
Oh, I was a day player, as they call it. So I played a BBC reporter. So I had one scene. I was reporting
In 3 episodes. I did some basic research.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I just looked up your IMDb credits. That was my research. I'm sorry.
It's all right. Let me give you some context about those 3 episodes. So I had one scene. I was reporting on location outside Scotland Yard for this scene. So, got kitted out in the costume, got driven out to Scotland Yard, we set up, and I delivered a full report within the story of, I think it was if I remember correctly, it was a kidnapping. So yeah, I delivered a full report. But the thing with this footage was, it was meant to, my report, as all reports are, they're shown on a television. So you'll probably see me in 3 episodes on a television screen somewhere in the background, or a computer screen.
Because I've seen Slow Horses season 1. I think I've seen 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Maybe, because the 3rd one's out now.
Oh, is the 3rd one? Okay, I've lost count.
Well, they renewed it all the way to the 5th one. It is fun. Like, it's... Okay. I love it. The first 2 seasons were class. But yeah, I was like, I would have had the moment of, wait, that's Kal, had I seen it. But
I watched it before it was released. No, not before it was released. When it was released, and I watched it, and I kind of flicked through it, and I realized, oh, okay, there I am. But you wouldn't know unless you kind of go pause. So I'm in it over 3 episodes because I'm on a computer screen somewhere. So you see me doing the whole report on location, but I don't think there's any sound because they used a bunch of actors. So I played a BBC reporter. There was another guy playing Sky reporter and whomever else. So you had all these feeds on this screen. So I played one of the feeds. I mean, I'm thankful for the job. You know, it was a job. You know, got to work on that production audition for Nina Gold, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I actually had an audition where I got to meet her. I had a recall where I got to meet her in person. That was fun.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I don't think I met her in person, so...
That was the one time. She was absolutely lovely. Although, can I say this? I can probably say this. So it was quite fun because I'm rocking up to do my audition and I'm already, it's like, I was told, you're meeting Nina Gold. Nobody gets to meet Nina Gold in person. Oh my God, this is a big deal. And I'm like, audition, scene, no. I go in to her office, and as I walk in the waiting room is the lead actress from The Witcher, Anya Chalotra.
Oh, okay.
And I just go, I mean, I didn't say that, but inside I was like, because The Witcher is a big deal for us Eastern Europeans, okay? It's the first time our culture got represented in some way.
Okay.
And what standard and quality, no comments, but so it could be more East European.
What was your first conversation with this lead?
Well, it wasn't really. It was just hi, and then she had to go into the room.
Okay.
But for like 5 minutes, I thought, oh my God, am I doing a scene with her? Because sometimes they'll do that of like, because I was interacting with another character in the scene, and I thought, oh my God, I'm about to do a scene with this person, and I was like, ah. But no. It turned out to be just. I mean, Nina was enough. I was like, oh my God, it's Nina Gold. And I remember I went in and she looked at me and was like, hi, how are you? And I was just like, I'm just trying to process the past 5 minutes. Thank you. How are you? So it must be quite mad for them, especially being in that environment, just seeing the people that we see as stars moving about left and right.
Yeah, I mean, my first experience of something like that was back in 2017. I was cast in Mary Queen of Scots.
Yeah, I've seen that.
As one of the entourage of James Stewart, the Lord James Stewart, and which meant I would be kind of on screen with the...
Sorry, I'm just giving, because you said entourage, and I'm just entertained by the idea of like you just rocking up Blink, like
yeah,
with the entourage,
with the Mary Queen of Scots. No, it wasn't that kind of entourage. I was one of the 3 lords who accompanied James Stewart.
Lords are not that different. They're just doing it a different way, but deep down they're also thugging
it out. Yeah. So I was called in before filming for a rehearsal, and it was at Pinewood Studios. And so in the rehearsal room was a massive rehearsal space. The film was directed by Josie O'Rourke, who is a theatre director. I think that was at the time one of her early films. In the room you had Margot Robbie, Saoirse Ronan, Guy Pearce, Adrian Lester, and us obscure actors.
And you're just ready to entourage it up.
No, I just had to kind of play with it because the director said, "Okay, now everyone." We did a warm-up exercise, so she asked everyone to walk around the room, fill the space, do that. You've probably done this, right?
Yeah,
walk around, fill the space.
Oh my God! Are you telling me that Margot Robbie was doing zip zap?
Oh yeah, but she was in prosthetics at the time. She was testing prosthetics for her older version of her character.
Oh, I love that.
But we did weaving in and out, and then the director said, "Okay, now everyone stop. Now turn around and make eye contact with someone. Then approach them and introduce yourselves." So a bunch of actors did their eye contacts, and I think most of them played safe. I turned around and I saw someone else turning around. It was Guy Pearce. So we approached each other. And
nice! Oh my God, you hung out with Guy Pearce.
So I introduced myself and said, "Hi, I'm Kal Sabir," and he just said one word, "Guy." And in my mind I was thinking, yes, I know you're Guy Pearce. But then I just said, "Well, how are you?" And
I would have loved it.
So we had a very brief discussion, and that's it. It was very pleasant.
I would have loved if you went, "Hi, I'm Kal Sabir." I didn't quite catch your name.
So you're who?
And just watch it. I've 40 years of this.
But it was surreal. And then, of course, you had to introduce. We all sat in a circle, and the director asked everyone to introduce themselves and what role they're playing.
Yeah.
So we had like Saoirse Ronan. I'm Saoirse Ronan, and I play Mary Stewart. Mary. I play Mary, and then it was Margot Robbie. I play. I think it was Elizabeth, and then Guy Pearce introduced himself and the character he played, and then it came to us obscure actors, and at the time we didn't have names. We had designations like,
of course we
like,
did,
like Murray Man number 1 or Murray Man number 2. So you came around to us and it was like, "Hi, I'm John McVeigh and I play man standing in corner laughing hysterically." Things like, it was just a bit surreal, but it was all pleasant. It was brilliant. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, actors are used to being no names.
Yeah,
it's not. That's the mad thing about the industry, man. I don't know. Some of the mental health, it encourages the mental health issues a little bit, because when you're a nobody, some perennial producers actually, I've had great producers that make an effort to be treated, like, they make sure that you're treated, with respect. But sometimes if you're a nobody, they let you feel that. They let you marinate in you being a nobody. And they make it very clear who the stars are. Like, there's plenty of stories about that as well. So I think... Does
that happen to you?
No, not in that way. It was just quite funny. So I was doing a scene in not Baptiste. Like, I have to think about it. I have 2 TV roles. I was doing a scene in Baptiste, season 2, right? I'm a couple that just got shot. Spoilers. I'm in it for like 1 minute. You're fine. You'll survive the spoilers.
Okay.
And I'm just like lying down. And this is like end of October, beginning of November, right? Peak lockdown 2020. It's London, it's cold. I'm just down there, like I'm padded, I got layers on, but I'm just lying on the concrete like this because I'm dead. And I've been lying there for like the past 20-30 minutes, getting shot, falling over, lying there over and over again. And I'm on the concrete. And at some point, the main character, the actor who plays the main role, goes, "Can we close the door? It's a bit chilly." And I just hear the producer going, "Close the door, check he's cold." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's cold." It wasn't like that. I was just chuckling to myself because I was remembering the Jamie Foxx story with Tom Cruise.
All right.
Where he's in Collateral and he crashes the car. And in his case, people, like the producers, literally rushed to the crash car, pushed him out of the way, were like, "James, Tom, oh my God, are you okay?"
The guy who's insured, yes.
I mean, I get that. Insurance and, they're the lead of the project. You want to make sure that affects everybody else.
Yeah.
But it was still kind of funny to be like, "Yeah, he's cold."
Hierarchies.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Some of it is like, it's just how the job goes.
Yeah, exactly. We're in it to make a product, a piece of entertainment, and it has specific assets which help to self.
Yeah.
So I understand that. Yeah.
It's like, if you're in a restaurant, I'm not naming names, but sometimes even if the GM is an asshole, they're harder to replace than the staff. That's all I'm saying. And that's definitely not coming on my present job. Mm-hmm. It's one of my previous ones. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair enough. Fine.
But yeah, no, it's a mad little world of ours, isn't it?
Oh yeah, mad is certainly the word.
What has there been any like auditions that? I mean, there's always been auditions that you wish you got, but like any crazy audition stories you've had?
Crazy audition stories.
I don't know. Be a chicken, pretend you're a bear, something.
Oh yeah. Not specifically those, but.
Oh yeah, the classic.
Oh yeah,
chicken.
yesterday. Yeah, last time. No, yeah, usually commercial auditions are a bit strange. The ones I've got, like there's one where, there's one, I can't remember what the product was, but this is a couple of years ago. I think there was a storyline to this advertisement. There was a business guy, he goes on some party, he gets high, then comes off it, and starts crying. So I had to simulate all that. And I've never taken anything like that, so I wouldn't know. So I just kind of.
It's okay. You can tell me after the podcast.
There was a specific instructions in for the scenes. So there's a nightclub scene where he's like really dancing crazy. So I was asked just to film myself dancing, looking like a lunatic. I was wearing a suit and a tie. And at the time I had really long hair, so I probably still have the footage somewhere, but I was like really shaking my head, and I just looked, I was trying my best to look really on drugs and high. And then afterwards, the next scene was me kind of trying to cry, and I try and do my best to try, but I wasn't connecting. And the thing with life is, in order to cope with life, you have to harden yourself up. But to be an actor, you have to loosen yourself up. So at that point, I wasn't quite there. I was struggling to cry. I just couldn't do it. I stood there for ages, just kind of with my eyes wide open, hoping the air would get to my eyes and they start to water, but nothing happened.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the acting really teaches you to. First of all, emotions are okay, and emotions are very important because they're just feedback from the rest of your mind, soul, whatever you want to call it, of like, oh, something's fucked up or something, And sometimes it's just part of the healing. I know a lot of people love to say about, self-pity, they're trying to shame you and embarrass you for feeling self-pity, but when you empathize with anyone else, it's something you go, you give them a hug, you're like, oh, you're struggling, have a hug. Why aren't you allowed to empathize with your own situation? Why are you supposed to pretend like you're not going through some difficult stuff? Yeah. And sometimes that means having pity for yourself. Yeah, you have and having some empathy and sympathy for your own fucking situation.
Yeah, you have to have a chat with yourself sometimes, And
sometimes you have to have a cry. Mm-hmm. And it feels amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't make yourself feel bad for it.
Yeah. Because you can't keep brushing it under the rug. You'll just, the rug will kind of, become an elephant in the room at one point, if you keep brushing it under the rug. So...
And also, it's like, as you said, like it's a part of you. It doesn't evaporate. It's like you're not going to pee it out, for fuck's sake.
No.
You're just carrying it around.
Yeah.
And I've seen those people that like they have years of like unsolved anger and stuff, and then the lightest thing will set them off. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh my God, you need to deal with your issues. Why would I do that? I'm not weak. I'm like, no, you're clearly falling apart in front of everyone's eyes. Mm. Deal with your shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I've had an audition, one of my most difficult ones. I managed to get some tears in. I didn't manage to fully break down, but we're working on it. But I was a grieving widow and who just became a single dad to this young baby. Oh my God, that was a tough audition because you have to do it like 3-4 takes. I'm just holding this baby. That normally gets me. Anything that has to do with like half orphans or orphans, because I grew up with a single dad. Oh, that gets me. I understand that. So yeah, that was an emotional day.
Okay. So that particular one was easy for you to connect.
It was easy for me to connect, but having to stay in that for like
and do
take 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I don't think there's enough chat about that. Like having to be miserable for an entire day. Sometimes
it's draining. I think. I remember one time being that drained from emotions from doing a play. This was a long time ago. I think it was possibly something like, I think I did Macbeth or something. I played Banquo, I think. It was either Macbeth or some other play. It was a Shakespearean play, that's all I remember. This is like over a decade and a half ago, and I just remember I was fully... I may even been Hamlet, even though I wasn't playing Hamlet, just watching Hamlet, I was getting super depressed. But no, just the emotional toll of fully committing yourself to that role, a Shakespearean role. At the end of each night, I was drained, you know?
Yeah, no, because like you're going on this emotional roller coaster, most likely of just. I mean, none of his plays are like. There's not many. I mean, okay, there's a couple of comedies to be fair, but even those have like pretty hefty topics. But if you're doing a drama, you're probably committing suicide or something's happening.
Yeah,
and then like sometimes we watch a movie and it's so emotionally impactful that you need like half an hour to like decompress or just be like, I just saw this movie, man. Now imagine you lived that.
Yeah,
like that went through you.
Yeah. I don't think I've watched a film like that in a while. But just watching the news is enough nowadays.
I was watching One Life in the cinema.
One Life.
Yeah. It's this story about this Englishman who ended up saving a bunch of Jewish kids from Czechoslovakia.
Oh, is that the one with Anthony Hopkins?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Class. I saw the clip of when the actual TV program that happened in real life when so the big scene. Spoilers, I guess, but it's been in the news and everything. Like it's been reported where he's in the TV production. He turns around and everybody whose life he saved stands up and is the whole audience behind him. Yeah. I was crying so much, man. That was beautiful. That got me. That was a beautiful moment. Just
yeah. I think the writing's really good and the acting, filmmaking is exceptional. You will be engrossed in that moment, which says a lot. So.
I gotta ask. So in that case, what has been some of the shite writing you had to make work? We're not naming names. That's too much. But have you had the experience where you're doing a play or a film where you're like,
yeah.
Who the fuck talks like this?
Yeah. Should I mention it? Well, it's in the past.
I don't want you to burn any bridges, but sometimes,
Yes, I would just say, I'm not going to name any names, obviously, but yeah, I think there was a new writer, who was writing about a topical issue. Well, sorry, the theme was quite topical, but I don't think he had experience of that topic. So he left it upon certain members of his actors to more or less finish the play, because when I auditioned it wasn't finished. They'd asked them, so when we start rehearsing, will this be a finished script? He said, yeah. First day of rehearsal, read through, it's still the same script. So essentially we were kind of sort of asked to fill in the blanks, and that's all I'm going to say. So it was a frustrating process. It needed more research, I'd say, before being put in front of actors.
Okay. Now, how was this a long run? Was this like a month run?
It was a month run.
Oh my god! Right. Okay. So how do you get through a month run performing something where you're like, my god?
That's because before we started rehearsals proper, there were a lot of objections by all the actors we just, as a group, we just said, look, we can't do this because this is not finished. It needs to be developed more. We'll help you develop it, but you're gonna have to pay us extra. We got equity involved as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not like you were hired as actors,
yeah.
that's one set of responsibilities.
Yeah, it wasn't. The job wasn't, shall we say, as advertised. So we came to an agreement. So we, as actors, helped to further develop the piece within 2 weeks, because we had maybe 6 weeks of rehearsal time. So 2 of those were just developing and finishing the thing, and then we got into rehearsals. It was fine. Yeah, it was received, I guess. I can't remember the reviews, to be honest, but the lead actress was great, because I played one half of a couple, and she was fantastic. So no, it turned out okay, but yes, we had to kind of push for certain changes, especially since, just certain inconsistencies in facts in the play and lack of cultural knowledge, things like that. So that's just one. I'm trying to think. None of this really come to mind, because I don't really. That stood out because it was initially a frustration, because you don't expect to go into a job and then it's still the same script. It's not been finished.
Of course.
No, I don't really. What about yourself? Do you have any examples? Or?
I'm trying to think. I've been fairly fortunate in that, like, I haven't had to do a part where I was like, I'm just doing this because I need the money. Mm-hmm. But if I'm lucky enough, one day I will be in that position. And with stand-up, I only do the jokes I care about. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to worry about that. But I have heard stories. This happened back home in Romania, so nobody cares. But it was my acting coach who told the story of, they had this play, this long dramatic play, and for some reason there was a scene in there where I had to like drag a dead horse across the stage. Right. Not a real dead horse, but like, you know. And the whole scene was just them, no dialogue, dragging a dead horse across the stage. Because sometimes creative people are dumb, or whatever. They're trying something. Maybe that wasn't fair, but like sometimes creative people, you have your own ideas, and then maybe you don't. You think this is the shit. Yeah. And I don't remember. I think people would sometimes heckle, someone would fucking neigh in the audience just to fuck with the actors. I don't know, but things like that. But like, you're doing a depressing ass play for a month or several. But needs must.
Exactly, yeah. And you never know where the writer may go.
And that's the thing.
And they'll go on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, no. Everybody has a chance to improve. Yeah. Everybody has a chance. You never know that, as you said, the next thing might be you could be working with a one-hit wonder, but that hit could happen on the next one. Mm-hmm. You don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, just going back to that one example I mentioned, we managed to turn it around. And we got it to a point where we thought, okay, we can work with this. But yeah, luckily there are few examples. Maybe 20 years ago when I was starting out, there may have been more examples, but I can't remember. Yeah,
and for me, I remember one of the big lessons was, if I get into a project of like, it's not my project. Like if I'm an actor, it's not it's our project.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Like our job is to try to make our stuff work with the others and make their stuff work with us. Mm-hmm. Our job is not to fucking steamroll everybody. And there's not just one way of doing this. So it was a very humbling and eye-opening experience of like, dude, let others have their input. Mm-hmm. And if it's their scene, it's as much their scene as it is yours. Mm-hmm. So chill.
No, absolutely, it's a team effort. We're making a product. It's a product. And you're there to entertain. You're there to deliver a service as a team. So yeah,
and you have to you have to navigate it. Sometimes it can be tough, but I've been lucky. Guys, been quite chill. Like I've learned to not like just because I have a baby that's my baby and I love it, doesn't mean that we can't find a common baby. You know.
Okay.
It sounds. That makes sense.
It makes sense. Yes, I understand.
You guys are cool.
Yeah, yes. No, I understand what you mean. Yeah. A product, an item, a baby that's been kind of created by, a communal input.
As most babies are.
Yes, exactly. I know what you're trying to say. That's just, okay. Let's just stop there. No, how are things? So, what's happening with your stand-up gigs, and how's that going?
Oh yeah, the stand-up has been class. It's been a great way to sort of be myself, and I recommend it to you as well. Because
the last time I saw you at the gym, I think you mentioned something about you were going down to London for this. So I just realised you asked me. You've just said I should try stand-up comedy. I did for about 3 seconds, but we'll get back to that, another time. But you mentioned you were going down to London for some. It was like a quick fire elimination type thing.
No, that hasn't happened yet. That's at the end of this month. So at the end of January, this is coming out later. But at the end of January, I'm doing 3 Gong shows, life allowing, in London.
Yeah.
In a week. So comedians know that if I'm lucky, that means I get 5 minutes of stage time combined.
Okay.
But so the Gong shows are the shows where you go up, 3 random members of the audience have cards, and if they don't like you, those cards go up and you go out, and that can mean a minute, can mean 2 minutes, it can mean, I think the nastiest one, if you will, the most vicious Gong show of them all, called the King Gong. People can card you off just as you walk up. Right. So somebody goes out and they look at you and you go, nah. So, and it's the luck of the draw. It is what it is.
So there's 3 members of the audience, random, and
they get given a card each.
They give a card each, and you mentioned the King Gong. Is that like a 4th person, or is that just one of the 3?
The King Gong, that's the show. The King Gong is the show itself.
Right. Okay. Understood.
And normally there's either a comedian on stage or someone who's running the event who will be actually gonging. There's an actual gong. So you actually hear the sound of...
Okay. That sounds... it's a challenge, but also sounds... I don't know. I mean, with things like, Britain's Got Talent, you have judges there. There's some consistency, but here there's a certain randomness to it because they're just choosing 3 random people from the audience, which I guess would change. Did they change for each comedian?
Depends. Sometimes they do. Some they don't. So the biggest Gong show I've done was Stockton, and they didn't change because I guess it gave everybody an equal shot. But then also it's kind of interesting. So I did a couple of local Gong shows. I won one. Well, I beat a lot of them, but basically, the host would be like, "Guys, you're being too lenient. Give the cards to somebody else." And sometimes the host would be like, "Guys, I'm gonna need to be a cunt now." Like I've had, oh my god, actually one of the Gong shows that I beat, it was the middle section. I think before me, 4 or 5 acts have managed to beat the Gong. And after every single guy or person, wasn't just guys, being the Gong, the host would be like, "Okay, I'm gonna need you to be more serious now. This is it. We can't let everybody go through." And I'm the 5th one, and he gave a whole 1-minute speech. And then all the pressure's on this guy. Oh my God, all his friends have made it. Will he make it? Remember, not everybody can go through. And I just walked on man, with friends like these, I fucking know this guy as well. But that's his job on the night. He can't be like, let my pals win.
Yeah.
So that was class. But
I salute you for doing that. I mean, I think, because I think, I know another comedian, you probably know her as well, Lubna Kerr. Is that right?
Yeah. I've gigged with her once.
Yeah, she's based in Edinburgh. But I worked with her on, I had a residency with the National Theatre of Scotland, and she was one of my creatives who's brought on board to help with the project. So no, I salute all comedians for being able to stand in front of an audience and tell jokes and deal with hecklers.
I mean, see what happens. Worst case, I think the worst thing that's ever happened. Well, no, I don't know. Actually, what's the worst thing that's ever happened to a comedian? But I know Alfie. I won't say if I'm gonna get the name wrong. But a comedian at Edinburgh, Alfie Brand? I don't want to say rubbish. I think it's Alfie Brand, but it might not be, because there's another comedian with the same name who got in trouble. But yeah, they had somebody walk in and point a gun at them, only for it to turn out to be a fake gun.
Right.
But they genuinely thought that they had an active shooter on the premises.
What?
This was at the Fringe this year. It was in the news.
So what was this guy's thinking?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what happened, but yeah, the guy genuinely thought he's about to get shot. I mean, that's a crazy outlier.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, why would you go into an audience somewhere and point a gun at someone?
And there's clips of Jim Jeffries getting punched in the face.
Okay.
But he was Jim did like to ruffle feathers with his material. Okay. Doesn't make it right. I'm sorry, you don't get to punch someone just because you don't like what they're saying.
No.
That is my standard, because I'm like, now you just elevated the situation. It has escalated into something it didn't need to be. You could say something back. But yeah, so there was that case, and he did a whole bit about it where he like literally after that played the same clip in one of his shows and did a whole play-by-play of like, and now I'm blocking his fist with my face. Yeah.
I think I can't remember the comedian's name, but something similar happened at the Oscars in the States with...
that was the first time Will Smith decided to slap Chris Rock.
That's who it was, Chris Rock. I think he ended up using the same footage in a similar vein for his stand-up.
Oh no, I don't know if he used the footage, but he riffed about it. Again, I don't agree with the slap. And then I heard a story where Chris Rock was being mean to a very funny British comedian that I like, and then I was like, hey Will, slap him again.
Oh right, okay.
Do not do that. But it was just like, really?
Okay. Comedian.
So why are you dipping your toes into the stand-up or not?
During this pandemic, I considered it as, I think I mentioned it to Lumina Care, because back then she was doing gigs via Zoom.
No, well, that's a different.
Yeah.
No.
And I just can because there's no feedback from the audience. Well, there is feedback, but it's like just a screen, and there's no energy, you know.
No, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still learning this, because I was someone who treated like as an actor who would go on stage and deliver my jokes.
Yeah.
And then if something came up in the audience, I would work with that. But now I have learned that I've got my jokes, but we talked about this stuff, like you have to, with the films as well, like you have to work with the crowd in front of you and see how much information they need. Do they need more? Do they need less? It's a lot more of a give and take than I previously thought. So I put my hand up. I have learned something new that I did not expect.
No, it takes a lot of prep. I mean, just two golden rules of comedy. Is it timing and know your audience? Is that? Oh, am I mistaken?
Is that the two golden rules of comedy?
I don't know. Maybe there's more than
tragedy plus time equals. I mean, I don't know if you can know your audience, but like you.
Well, you can't.
You listen.
You don't know who's going to walk in through the door, to be honest.
And also, I keep in mind, I have to do this material the way I do comedy anyway. I have to do this material over and over and over and over again. So I can't write a joke just for you for just this one night and then do it to a different fucking audience member. And also, I'm trying to like not be miserable, guys. Am I allowed to like enjoy my life as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like, again, give and take.
Okay.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but hopefully when you get better at it, it works enough that you get paid. And you get paid regularly.
Yeah. But just to quickly answer your question, I think I fleetingly considered maybe taking stand-up comedy classes because I don't know. I generally
you should do it.
I do my best
great.
to try and have I don't intentionally try and make people laugh, but I remember down in London when I initially moved to London. I think I was applied for a job, some sort of day job. I can't remember, some sort of a street marketing job. I can't remember what it was, but anyway, it was a group interview, and as part of the group interview, you had to stand up and sell an item upon your person. Just really sell it to the people, you know. So I had a notebook and a pen in my pocket, you know. So I just stood up and sold this notepad and pen as an alternative to your mobile phone, and we had to do this 3 times. And my feedback at the end of the session was, Cal, you know, each time you got up, you made everyone laugh, and it wasn't my intention. It was just what I came up with, you know.
So I see that you have a comedic slant on things.
It could be. I wasn't. The thing is, I wasn't intentionally trying to be funny, you know.
No.
But perhaps that could just be used in my films, my writing, as opposed to doing stand-up comedy.
But I mean, there's a difference between trying to make people laugh or just having a comedic perspective on stuff. I realized, like, all the signs were there for me to become an actor, comedian in hindsight. Before, you know, I was rushing forward to becoming a software engineer and whatnot. And then when I look back, I was like, oh my God, I have been binging stand-up comedy like a religion. I have been watching movies almost every night. My dad would come home and find me trying to belt out Led Zeppelin fucking songs, pretending that I'm in a massive arena singing my, you know, my pants off, or whatever you want to say, whatever the expression is. I'm too tired. So like, yeah, it was very much like, all this is there of like, maybe the having like, if you use comedy, like I was regularly making jokes to deal with stressful situations, and I've realized that comedy was something that I easily would rely on to deal with stuff. It's almost like was my little immune boost when things were going tough psychologically. I'd be like, hey, comedy.
Yeah. No, it certainly helps.
And I think if you use it, you might have an interest in it that, you know, you could work on to develop your skills in it as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I think it's a silly thing to say, but I like laughing. I guess most people would like laughing. But yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a good release, you know, comedy, laughter. But yeah, it's not... yeah, who knows? I may develop it and include it in my films, because with my writing, I want to try different genres, you know. I love the Naked Gun films.
Yeah,
I would love to make something like that. So maybe find its way into that. Because I was watching some clips on YouTube of Leslie Nielsen.
Yeah, no, and
even he was at an airport, not airport, so airplane.
Yeah,
he played
airplane.
the doctor, and I just remember that scene where something about there's a
what's a hospital? No, something about a hospital.
Yeah, something like that. Someone was ill on the plane, and I can't remember. Oh yeah, the actor playing the pilot said, "Oh, surely you can't be serious." And,
I'm serious. Don't call me Shirley.
I am serious. Don't call me Shirley. It's just brilliant.
He was the king of deadpan.
Yes.
Like he had a quote of like, "I made my early career playing lawyers." He had very unique, because like something about he played lawyers and cops and detectives, and then he made a lot more money doing the same thing, just in comedies.
Yes. Yeah,
he was the king of the deadpan silly shit. My God, I love his work.
I remember a very young Leslie Nielsen in Forbidden Planet.
Oh,
he's in there, and I just remember watching it as a kid. I vaguely remember it, but I just thought, oh, it's Leslie Nielsen, it's Frank Drebin.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, because I grew up seeing Naked Gun first, and then I saw him in an episode of Columbo, when he's either the murderer or he's like a serious guy who gets killed. I can't remember the details, but he was in an episode of Columbo, just playing it straight, you know. And it was so weird watching the guy who I knew as I would laugh so much at, just being serious for the whole episode and being like, say something funny. Say it.
Just waiting for this guy to be funny. Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Just quickly while I remember, did you know there was a a series. Do you know there was a Mrs. Columbo series? Did you know that? I discovered recently.
No,
I didn't know this because apparently Columbo had a wife, but you never saw her.
Yeah, he always
talked
references
about the wife's got the dinner or whatever. But apparently there was 2 seasons of Mrs. Columbo. I think it was called In Mrs. Columbo Investigates. If you look it up on IMDb, Mrs. Columbo was played by Kate Mulgrew, who played Captain Catherine Janeway in Voyager. I don't know whether you watched Star Trek.
Rings a bell, but yeah.
But yeah, she was, I just looked up her CV on IMDb and I scrolled down and I saw Mrs. Columbo. It's like, but yeah.
Did they and is this like canon, as they like to say? That is it actually related to the Columbo series, or is it just a spin-off where they never reference Columbo?
I've not watched it. I've read the synopsis on IMDb, and it does state it does make reference to her being Detective Columbo's wife, and she investigates.
Is she a detective, or is she like a Mrs. Marple type? Or?
I'll need to look up the description. It just she might be someone who kind of investigates just because I guess.
Like nosy busybody.
So yeah, I'm trying to find it online just out of curiosity.
Oh
it was made
God.
during the 70s, late 70s. But Columbo was brilliant,
I love Columbo, man. I love Peter Falkworth's work in general.
As he's leaving. Oh, and another thing, sir.
Please tell me she's wearing the same trench coat. Please tell me she's wearing the trench coat.
Yes, but it's pink or something. No, I don't. Possibly. Like I said, it's 2 seasons. Who knows?
Just chewing a cigar. My husband.
Or maybe he gets a cameo. Who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, he loved teasing the audience with that. I remember there was a couple of episodes. The one where he's on a cruise.
All right.
And he's actually like waving at his wife, but the camera always barely just misses her. So you never actually see her. Yeah. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, also, Leslie Nielsen, yeah, brilliant. There's a whole bunch of films I've not yet watched of his, like Repossessed.
I know he did the Dracula Dead and Love in it, which I haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen that either. But I think they got just about it. I think Spy Hard was good. Was it Spy Hard? I don't know.
Yeah, I think there was one. And there was one where the superhero movie, it's called?
There was a superhero movie?
When he goes with great power, and it comes with responsibility. And he goes, no, with great power come the bitches.
I don't remember that. Okay. I'll have to look these up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh. God, I guess I just want to ask now, is there any plans in the future? We haven't even mentioned, okay, all right. We're not going to spoil anything, but you are on the cusp of something very exciting, an exciting role. And let's not go into those details, because obviously no spoilers and NDAs and whatnot, but I was very pleased to hear that you're working on something that you're super excited about, and biggest role to date, and things like that, so...
yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, it's I guess I could call it a step in the right direction. So any job is a blessing, but this is great. So,
but it's good seeing that the story of you going, maybe it's not for me, then coming back, and then it's like,
I never thought I genuinely did vowed never to return. So it was bizarre. I think I just reached a point where there was a creative void. And in 2013, I tested the waters. I came back, did a play at the Courtiers. It was Antigone, that's what it was. It was a modern adaptation of Antigone, in which I played an undead elder. It was set in the Middle East, a fictional Middle East state. But no, that was my way of testing the water. Do I want to do this? And the answer was yes.
Was it like this feeling of like, oh my God, I've been missing this whole time?
A little bit, yeah. I was missing being around other creative people, because developing website is fine. It's a lot of tinkering, but it's a solitary. Unless you're working in a team, it's very solitary. And yes, no, I really did miss working with other people in a creative space. So the answer was yes. And then I decided to get new headshots, and then trying to get a show reel together after 7 years. I had no footage, so I think I did a scene from a play. That's what it was, a monologue. Had it filmed, and that was my show reel for, I don't know, 3 years, 2 years. But yeah, no. Yeah, hopefully things will go onwards and upwards. Whatever happens with the acting field, it's a blessing, whatever job I get, but I've realised my main focus is to write and produce, you know. Directing, I'm still getting accustomed to, but I definitely want to continue acting and producing. So, like my next project, you know, I want to be in it, so I'd rather get someone else to direct it, you know. So that's the way forward for me. I love film. I love creating film, being a part of the creative process for film, whether that's as an actor or a producer. So
yeah, I need to try that. I need to try some producing, because I want to have multiple skills in the industry so I can make a living one way or another.
Yeah, producing I would certainly recommend. It's certainly it's project management. You're managing the project from development all the way to distribution. It's a full-time job. So depending on the project, you know, certainly with the film we did, Inner Devils, you know, I felt I was working full-time, because depending on the goal for the film, if you're just putting it on YouTube and not wanting anyone to watch it, apart from on YouTube, it's fine. You don't have to do too much marketing. But even then, if you want someone to watch it, people need to know it exists.
I mean, it helps, because if other people are watching it, it potentially gives you more backing, more funds, more eyeballs, more interest for the next one. So you can create bigger things and cooler things. Or the things you really want to tell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives you feedback when the audience, you know, helps you to improve. But marketing really depends on your goals for the film. So you really keep up with a lot of things like social media, you know, update the social media platforms every now and again, build an audience, followers. Because your audience will come from your followers. They'll share information about your project, and it's a full-time job. Let's just say that. Yeah. So it's rewarding, though. It's stressful, challenging, but also rewarding. Yeah, but I would recommend it.
No, probably will. Yeah. At some point, we'll give it a bash. Right now, the stand-up is requiring a lot of my attention. I'm doing I'm doing the acting stuff, so it's a lot happening at the same time. So fingers crossed. But yeah.
Brilliant.
Well, I think we've unless there's something else you want to mention or talk about.
It's just been fantastic having a chat, Silas.
Thanks very much for coming on.
No, I really appreciate your time. Yeah, and thank you for your time too.